So we are once again back at the Brownie Circuit in Leeds for another Friday night crit. This time it's a category 3-4 and I think we had about 10 guys in the field of about 45 riders. So yeah, it would have been great if we could use our numbers to our advantage, but it's not as straightforward as that. The reason is Alba is not a race team, it's a club. So anyone can pay their subs and become a member and then race for us. And it's something that I actively encourage, and the racing and competitive side of the club is something I've been working hard to support and nurture over the last 5 years or so. So it's great that we have so many wanting to get stuck into racing. The downside is that it's hard to pull everyone together as a team and work for one objective, as everyone is wanting to get different things out of the experience. For example, today we have a number of Cat 4s racing, and for some of them this is only their second or third ever race, or they're looking to get points to move up to Cat 3. And because they're a Cat 4, they're also not required to wear team kit, so sometimes it makes things a little bit confusing. So to kind of try and get around all of this, I've tried to kind of instill the philosophy that everyone is given the opportunity to try and win the race, and that you might not actively work for someone else, but you should always definitely not try to work against them. So i.e. don't chase your teammates. So as a team, in inverted commas, of 10, we didn't really have a plan. However, you and I have been racing together the last couple of years, and so we kind of spoke before the race and came up with a plan to hopefully increase our chances of both of us kind of getting on the podium. So that plan was to spend the first half of the racing kind of patrolling before kind of sitting back in, and then if there isn't a break, kind of sitting in and going for the sprint. So what's patrolling, I hear you ask? So patrolling, a criterion, involves riding at the front of the race and kind of reacting to kind of decisive moves. So instead of trying to kind of put in attacks myself, I'm kind of looking out for kind of dangerous breaks and making sure if there isn't another kind of Alba in there, I'm following wheels and getting in there myself. The reason for kind of racing like this is if we miss the break because of our supposed numbers, everyone will kind of look at us to try and bring it back. And because we're not really racing as a team, as I said, it's unlikely people will sacrifice themselves to do the work to kind of chase that break, and therefore that break's just going to ride away. The problem with kind of this tactic of patrolling a crit race is that it comes with a kind of massive energy cost, and that's because you have to kind of keep near to the front of the bunch, and often you're riding in the wind, trying to kind of stay up there. Luckily for me in this race, because of the wind direction, it was very hard for any attacks to kind of stick. Often at the Brownie Circuit there's kind of crosswinds on the straights, which makes it a lot easier to kind of split the bunch, or to stay away, or there's a tailwind up the climb, which also kind of helps the break. However, today it was a tailwind down the hill, which means the speeds were super fast, and then when you turn around the velodrome, you end up going into an almighty headwind, which has kind of really killed kind of any potential move pretty quickly. So yeah, I spent the first part of the race on the front trying to get away, just following moves and stuff, as I said, kind of patrolling and things. But yeah, from about 10 laps to go, I was kind of confident that nothing was going to go and get away, and so yeah, I kind of decided to kind of sit back as I kind of burnt a lot of energy in that first half of the race, kind of patrolling the front, and I kind of put faith that my club mates would be able to kind of cover any moves while I kind of waited it out for the sprint. Now, if we were working as a solid unit, I think we would have won this race as a team, and we nearly did. And if we were working as a team, which we weren't, then this is the reason why we missed out. So I'm now skipping forward to 5 laps to go. I've kind of decided that I'm going to work for Ewan. I'm going to lead him out. To do that, there comes a point where I can no longer kind of chase moves, as I need to kind of save as much energy as possible. So in an ideal world, we would have had one or maybe 2 other guys in a position to kind of chase down lace attacks, or a couple of guys to kind of drill it on the front and kind of keep the pace high to kind of deter anyone going going for an attack. This is where I think we kind of lost the race, and it was. This is where the winning move went. So I think this is going into 4 laps to go. Now, at the time, I have to admit, I didn't see him go, and as I was kind of busy fighting for position on the opposite side of the pack. But there were a couple of Albers that are now looking back on the footage that could have gone with him, and I feel this would have kind of changed the dynamic of the last few laps, as others wouldn't have been able to look at us, Alberosa, to kind of chase. Instead, the pace went out of the front of the bunch, and the guy who made that attack was able to open up quite a decent gap quite quickly. Now, looking at this footage, I still haven't even realised at this point that anyone is off the front. I still thought that the bunch was all together. So yeah, I'm just kind of chilling, rolling around. Though credit to kind of Holloway, he sees that danger and attacks off the front from behind me to kind of like try and get there. I think he was trying to get a bit more pace into the bunch. Unfortunately, everyone else just kind of leans on him to do all of that chasing, and again, the pace just kind of drops again. And really, what we really needed at that point was maybe a couple of guys to kind of go to the front of the bunch and just kind of keep that pace high, kind of maybe chopping off with each other just to kind of keep it rolling, keep that tempo. And then I think if he had like maybe 2 or 3 people working against the one guy up out front, I think that gap would have reduced. But I think maybe a lap later or so, other Albers did start to kind of start moving towards the front, and I assumed what they were going to be doing was going to kind of join that kind of pace setting. But instead of working together, I feel like they kind of started attacking each other, which always, I find a bit strange. Here back in the pack, I have kind of other club mates coming round me and kind of shuffling me and Ewan back down the pack, and now kind of out of position for the sprint, which I was kind of getting a little, peeved at, I'd say. If I pause it here with 1.5 laps to go, as you can see, I currently have 4 club mates in front of me. So not everyone's in club kit, but I've got 4 people in front of me, and I've got Ewan glued to my wheel. And now, if we were working as a team, this would be perfect for the lead out, and another opportunity to kind of pull that solo break back. So if the 4 people in front of me each took turns to kind of drill it on the front for like 4, maybe 500 meters, that would kind of deliver me to like 250 meters to go, and then I'll be able to take it from there and kind of deliver you into the line. And pretty much, I don't think anyone would have been able to come past us. Instead, what we're doing is kind of all riding kind of individually. Like obviously I'm working for Ewan, but I feel everyone else is kind of just doing their own thing. As I said, there's no obligation to kind of do anything, and to work as a team. And so people have their own, they're all trying to get different stuff out of it. Like I said, people might be trying to get points, so just getting in the top 10 is kind of good enough for them. Luckily, I was able to kind of jump on someone else's wheel who was kind of moving towards the front, and that kind of put me in a great position to going into that final lap. And so from here on out, my plan was just to kind of like hold the inside line of the track and not let anyone get up my inside. But as you can see, going into the bell lap, I almost immediately lose my great positioning as the pace is increased on the kind of the other side of the bunch, and myself and Ewan once again kind of shuffled towards the back. Despite this, I was pretty confident I was on the right side of the track and of the bunch, and would be able to move back up before the kind of final sprint. It's at this point where a lead out is extremely useful, as this track you need to be in the kind of top 2 or 3 positions going into the velodrome corner if you want to do well in the sprint. But because I was the only one kind of working for Ewan, it meant that I had to do a kind of an almighty effort down the back straight in order to kind of get to the front. I then remember it being like super sketchy going through that corner, as I wasn't quite sure which way the escapees were going to go. Luckily I was able to kind of thread a line like between them, and then try and take that kind of shortest line to the next corner without losing too much speed, which is probably a little bit too much speed, as I absolutely railed that final chicane and almost ended up fully on the grass before starting the final sprint for the line. And I remember waiting for like Ewan to come round me, but the line kept getting like nearer and nearer, and in the end, I think he only managed to pit me for second place like by about a tyre width. And as I say, I held on for third, which was my first ever podium in a cycling event, so pat on the back for myself there, despite being kind of pleased that I was up there in the race, and did my job to kind of deliver you into the line. I feel a little bit disappointed that as a club we kind of like missed an opportunity by not working as a kind of solid unit. But as I've said at the beginning of this video, we are not a race team and have no desire to become one where people kind of set up where people from the outset are there to kind of sacrifice their own chances for an individual. However, I do feel hopefully that we can continue to kind of develop our collective race knowledge, so that we can kind of support each other a bit better, and hopefully that means that we all kind of get a chance to kind of stand on that kind of top step at some point.